Changing Places was an arts project of the Mental Health Foundation ACT that transformed spaces around Canberra in November 2013. Changing Places was based on the idea that our mental health isn't only the product of our own brains, but is also created by the physical and social environments we live in and move through.
In one way, this project is a kind of the next step into kind of taking it completely out of arts spaces into a whole range of different spaces.
I just come out of an episode myself, and I just realised I had these funny little goat tracks, like that I associate with being unwell, because there's so many places I avoid and certain places that feel safe. I just wondered how other people felt about places.
We set out to identify places in the ACT that affect people's mental health for better or worse, and transform them for a few minutes or days.
Mental health consumers are involved, but it's not solely about them or us. That it's kind of a bit broader.
We held 3 open workshops where people created their own maps of Canberra, identifying the places that affected them, and came up with ideas to transform some of them.
We were a little bit vague about what it was we were going to do, because it's very, like, the whole concept was completely community driven. So we weren't even as clear as we're going to do a theatre show. Like, it was completely, we're going to do stuff in different spaces around the ACT, depending on what people who rock up to a bunch of open public workshops decide that they want to do.
The first of these interventions to meet the public was a Transat Parlour. Hand Heart Home is a group of women from different cultures brought together by community artist Nicola Lambert. These women sewed 100 cushions, each with a few inspirational words on them. These cushions were put on bus shelter seats and given away in Civic on a Saturday afternoon, leaving smiles in their wake. All 100 cushions went within an hour, with many people stopping to talk and leave quotes of their own. Next to Tuggeranong Town Centre. With a small band of mostly young people from the valley, we took to the footpaths in front of the town centre with buckets of chalk and encouraged passers-by to join in. Words, images and fun coloured in the space. Our next project was the first of our big projects, the walking tour with a difference. It's hard to discuss place and mental health in Canberra without talking about Civic, the city centre where so many of us work, study, shop and play. We took a walk around the city centre one evening to discuss how we could reflect the varied feelings about the places that had been expressed in the workshop. As we walked, we shared our stories of the parts of the city we walked through. It hit us. This is what we would do. We would invite people on a tour of the city and get them to tell their stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in our walking tour with a difference, it works like this. Instead of me walking around giving you the history of the Canberra Centre and of the Canberra Times Fountain and so on, I'm going to be asking you to share your memories and your stories of the different parts of Canberra City as we walk through them.
As a mascot, we dressed as Stilt Walker as the girl from the sculpture, The Other Side of Midnight, by sculptor Anne Ross. As saxophone player was our Pied Piper.
And I had my first taste of snails, garlic snails. It was delicious, but a bit scary.
A team of actors in white faces reenacted the stories as they were told in a series of tableaux.
And me and my friends had a bit of a naughty trick where we used to go around the edges of the fountain and block a couple of parts of the fountain so that one of the water fountain streams would go ever further and wet people.
We remembered, shared and learned about our city and each other.
The entire pub rushing out into the rain.
From the bustling public civic to the quiet hidden underground, we entered the portal. The portal was the brainchild of emerging artist Melissa Grunleska. As a child, she had a fascination with the Commonwealth Avenue underpass. As she walked down the steps, she imagined she was entering an otherworldly place. As an adult now working in the Parliamentary Triangle, she set about creating this otherworldly place.
You can't have have a barrister stew without some onion. He's a very sour individual, being a barrister. Most of them are.
Installation artist Victoria Lees wove intricate webs throughout that tunnel, and a band of young artists filled it with music, poetry, fantastical creatures, fortune tellers, and strange installations. Most people who entered the portal knew they were coming for a show, but some were just walking through and suddenly met the frightening dreams of a little girl. One place mentioned by many in our workshop no longer exists, the old Griffin Centre. As a tribute, we created In Memory of a Griffin, a documentary of memories and emotions of some of the people who visited or worked at the centre before it was demolished.
My involvement with the Griffin Centre, the old orange one, goes back to when I was in high school.
The old Griff for me was part of my youth, and a wonderful part of my youth. Even though I was 30 when I came here, and I was over 60 when the thing closed over there.
It was the best place where I have the station.
Fascinated by the breadth of diversity and different talents that were in that place.
The documentary was projected on the windows of the new Griffin Centre across the road, so it could be viewed from the spot where the old Griffin Centre once stood. At one of our workshops, there was a long discussion about how to lift the spirits of those on their way to work or school, especially on a Monday morning. So one Sunday afternoon, we filled 300 helium balloons ready to fill the Tuggeranong bus interchange roof early the next morning. But come Monday morning, every balloon had mysteriously vanished.
What?
That awkward moment where our balloons aren't here. We spread the word that something magical was happening today. And now nothing magical is going to happen. We later found that the cleaner had not gotten our message and had disposed of all of them. So 2 Sundays later, we started again, filling balloons and tying uplifting messages to them.
If you take me, I'll make you smile.
The next morning, our balloons were still there.
Call me Balloon Man. We shall save the world with powers of balloons.
We carried them to the bus interchange, where we released them into the roof for passers-by to take them on their way to school and work. The wind twisted many strings together, and the interchange became home to ribbons of colour for a day. But many balloons went on adventures to the businesses and schools of Tuggeranong and beyond. Canberra's beautiful nature parks, gardens and wetlands were spaces that lifted the spirits of many in our workshops and needed to be celebrated. A wooden picture frame was suspended between 2 trees, creating a frame to look through onto the Lyneham wetlands, surrounded by a lattice of threads that passers-by could add small offerings to. It changed and grew as people added to it. Another place mentioned by many in our workshops was the Rainbow, a psychosocial rehabilitation centre run by the Mental Health Foundation, ACT. The Rainbow video was a collection of interviews from the members of Rainbow about what the place meant to them, interspersed with their music.
She's a woman that loves me so, and be-bop-a-loo-bop, she's my baby. Be-bop-a-loo-bop, don't mean maybe. Be-bop-a-loo-bop, she's my baby now, my baby now, my baby now.
Oh, the Rainbow's a beautiful place. I've been coming here for years.
It means a place that's safe from alcohol, drugs, whatever.
There was lots of people that seemed happy and it was fun.
It's a place where I can have a social life.
A lot of us think that at some stages that we're the only ones going through a certain period, and it helps them to know that someone else has gone through something and come out the other side.
One comment about the Rainbow was that since it was recently refurbished, it no longer had a rainbow, so we set about creating one. With ideas and assistance from Rainbow members and staff, we created a large diorama of a rainbow stream running through a rocky hillside. The diorama and video were unveiled at our Changing Places wrap-up party. The diorama still stands there today. In all our interventions, people stopped to share their stories of mental health and mental illness for themselves and those they love and care for, and their stories of the places we changed. Because mental health is not just something that happens between your ears, it's also something that happens in front of our eyes, in the places we inhabit and people we interact with. And places and people can be changed.